Now, the opioid crisis continues to rage on, killing us somewhere around 70 to 100 people a day, possibly even more. And so far, we've had no real action from the Trump administration. In fact, Kellyanne Conway, who runs the ONDCP, has basically pulled a Nancy Reagan and then urged everyone to build a wall. Just say no, let's build a wall. Again, that's not going to do anything. It's not actually going to solve the problem. However, there are politicians out there who actually do want to get to the root of the problem, and that is the proliferation of highly addictive prescription drugs pushed legally in America by pharmaceutical companies. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders on Monday called for the Senate to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable for any role they played in fueling the opioid epidemic that has spread despair in the state and across the U.S. In a letter to Senator Lamar Alexander, the chairman of the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, Sanders encouraged him to hold hearings on the matter, just as the Senate had once compelled big tobacco executives to testify about the deadly hazards of smoking. He said, quote, "That committee had the courage to demand that the leading executives of the tobacco industry tell the American people what they knew and when they knew that tobacco was addictive and had killed millions of people. Though Old denied under oath believing tobacco was addictive, we now know they were lying. But the hearing eventually led to real change, with the Food and Drug Administration regulating tobacco and the rate of smoking in the U.S. at a record low." So these hearings, yes, while they denied it, they openly, to Congress, would testify, no, are you kidding me? Smoking, not harmful at all. You can smoke all day, and it will not give you cancer. It is not addictive, nothing like that. They made them lie under oath. And that's exactly what they did. And most people saw through their bullshit. And that, of course, ended up leading to real change. And part of those hearings actually helped states reach settlements with the tobacco industry. Now, here's the thing, right? Right now, Big Pharma is basically in the same position as the tobacco companies. They're the big dogs on campus, right? And they own a lot of members of Congress. For example, former Speaker of the House, John Boehner. John Boehner used to hand out tobacco checks in the House, right on the floor. He'd come out with a stack of checks and just be like, here you go. Here's your bribe. Here's your bribe. Here's her bribe. I got my bribe. And that's how they were able to get away with doing everything that they did. Now, fortunately, thanks to these hearings and thanks to action from successive administrations, we were actually able to hold these companies accountable. Turns out, when you regulate these companies and you punish them for lying and obfuscating the truth of different studies and health impacts and things like that, less people die. Wow, what an amazing concept. Now, that's something that we should be going for, saving people's lives. But, of course, where we're going right now is unfortunately in pursuit of more corporate profit. Now, he continues along that same vein, saying that the opioid crisis did not happen in a vacuum. We know how it happened. Again, these companies bought politicians who decided, we're going to turn our blind eye to your activities. Now, let me give you an example of one of those activities. Between 2006 and 2016, this is a West Virginia town, Williamson, had a total population of 2,900 people. Between the years of 2006 and 2016, that's 10 years, they were shipped 20.8 million prescription painkillers. These are two different companies sending about 10 million pills each to this little company, or to this little town. Two different drugstores. You imagine how many pills that is per person. And look, 2,900, not all of those 2,900 people are addicted to opioids or needed those pain pills. That is outrageous. How many pills were they prescribing to people and handing out? Amazing. Anyway, Now, Sanders continues, while some of these companies have made billions each year in profits, not one of them has been held fully accountable for its role in the crisis. Individual states have received small settlements from companies after taking legal action, but not nearly enough to pay for the costs associated with the opioid epidemic. The states cannot do it alone. So, yes, these are the problems, right? Well, what's one of the solutions? Well, Sanders noted in his letter that he plans to introduce legislation that would in part require companies to reimburse communities for the economic consequences that their painkillers have caused. So, this is legislation to say, okay, look, we're going to hold you accountable. For example, those two companies that were sending those massive amounts of pills to those to that really tiny town, they would have to face some sort of financial consequence. Now, if the Trump administration actually cared about holding these companies accountable and actually going and solving the opioid epidemic, or at least taking steps to do so, then they would agree with the Sanders proposal. Now, I doubt that that will actually happen. Unfortunately, as I said before, a lot of these politicians, mostly Republicans, some corporate Democrats, are purchased by these companies. And they will not regulate these companies or hold them accountable. And what they do, and what these companies have done as well, is put people behind profit, put profit ahead of people, okay? And they pushed for more and more prescription drugs to be sold. Not only that, but they fight hard against other things. For example, legal cannabis, right? In some cases, I think that would be better for the patient suffering chronic pain because there's no chance of getting addicted. You don't get addicted to marijuana. There is, there's a huge risk when it comes with taking these prescription painkillers. Whereas, again, the risk for marijuana, you can even overdose on it. You would have to smoke more marijuana than anyone could possibly smoke in a day to die, to overdose. Whereas pain pills, we hear stories of overdose every single day. So we've got to do something to fight that. And holding the companies accountable, great first step, right? And so, Bernie Sanders, again, trying to lead the way, taking on the pharmaceutical industry, and I hope that more politicians can get behind him so we can actually solve this problem. This isn't a partisan thing. This isn't, I want my side to win versus your side. I just want to save lives. And I would hope that anybody approaching this issue would want to do the same. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.